It was really hard for the team. It was a lot of the team's first time putting a lot of themselves in the game, feeling like they had representation of some of their feelings and it reflected on them personally. It's always going to be harder to be open-minded and open-hearted and sensitive and considerate. That's always harder than being inconsiderate, always. But it's a challenge that I think is healthy. By having a content warning, we're showing that we are open to hearing about people's experiences, that we are sensitive to how people are feeling. We're not just putting it out there and we don't care how you feel. We signaled a vulnerability in that way, which I'm glad we did. I think it's the responsible thing to do, especially if you're in a genre that people might not be expecting these negative encounters.
I mean, you put the content warning in, meaning that you were cognizant of the fact that this could be tricky material for some people. Did that ever come up in the playtesting process?
Internally and externally, once we revealed the full plot to people, because it wasn't available at the various game events we went to at PAX, we didn't show anything about the plot at all. There was a strong recurring feedback that they wanted less of him. They were like, once I understand his nature, I don't want to interact with him anymore, because in real life, I'm not going to text some dude I don't like. I'm going to ghost him. I'm going to block him. I'm going to get rid of him. I felt it was still important to the themes of the game to have that final resolution with him. But the intent and the reality is, if you totally ghost him after meeting him, you don't have to interact with him. Like your cousin will take care of it, and then you have your final boss fight, and like that's kind of the only encounters. You have a meeting and then eventually a boss fight. Some of the tech behind how that works has a couple of bugs, which made people think they had to interact with him, and that's also added fuel to the fire of people feeling uncomfortable, that they felt forced into texting with this guy that they had identified as abusive.
What was kind of the genesis of the character? What was your goal with this character, and to what extent do you feel like you accomplished that in the creation of the game?
And this was my first long form writing, and it took a lot of iterations, but my goal was to have a satisfying character growth moment. And once I realized that doing that with the protagonist was very, very difficult, because I wanted it to be a self-insert, capable character, so I couldn't sort of impress a certain emotional growth onto the player, that had to happen in another character. I followed a lot of the standard book screenplay advice about how to do that, but it still took a lot of trial and error and play testing. My main goal was to show some of the nuances of romance and how it can be really hard, and it's really easy to do it wrong. That's based on my personal experiences. Like, I have been a woman on the internet, it turns out, and I have experienced some things, and Eric isn't based particularly on any one person. That, any resemblance to real people is completely coincidental, and it is a work of fiction, but it is the lived reality of a lot of people. And I've also gotten private messages that it's been cathartic for some women who have been through similar things, that they said, wow, it's really great to actually see a creep go through an arc and regret and apologize, because that never happens in real life.
Do you think that the kind of ownership or feeling of ownership that Kickstarter gives people over a project may have, like, in some way or another contributed to kind of the at least initial reaction?
Genres in which you are more likely to be playing as yourself, that the character you're playing might be named after you, that you might customize them and really make the choices as if it were you, to then see yourself encounter even very fictionalized, stylized versions of past trauma, I think can be more triggering or more difficult emotionally than seeing a fictional character go through it passively. I hope more people make more queer-friendly and marginalized gender-friendly games, but it is difficult. I think that's at the heart of all of this. They have the expectation combined with this poverty of options.
Even in spite of the kind of initial reaction to all of this and the blowback and the discourse, do you still ultimately feel good about the thing that you have made?
I'm extremely proud of what we made, and I'm extremely proud of my team. It's the best game we've ever made, I don't regret making any of it. I love Boyfriend Dungeon, and I'm glad that a lot of people are connecting with it. Of course, we'll always try to learn from everything we do and always make it better.